Good morning. Wow. Now then, good morning. I am John Legend.
Hello, John.
John Legend, the man you wouldn't buy a used car or double glazing from. Welcome
Definitely
to
not.
the news and views with the award-winning EV Café. 30 minutes of what's happening in zero-emission transport with expert analysis from the EV Café crew and massively supported by our sponsor, Drax Electric Vehicles, supporting businesses' transition to EVs. Today's opinions on a stick are the quite marvellous Sam Clark. Are you well, my friend?
I'm all right, thank you. Yes, a little weary after this week, which we're obviously going to talk about. And if anyone
Indeed.
can find my voice, I'd love to have it back, please.
Oh, we've dreamt of this day. Sam has lost his voice. And Paul, how are you, my friend?
Well, I was just going to say, Sam can find his voice echoing around the room that he's in, but anyway, there we go. Yes, I'm very good, actually. Yeah, all good. Surprisingly sprightly after three very full-on, well, four really very full-on days. So, yeah.
That's what we like, a sprightly old man. Now then, do you want to grab a cuppa? Should we plug in, see what's happening in zero? I've got one. And let's see what's happening in zero-emission transport this fine week. And coming up, the DFT considers a new MOT test for electric vehicles. A 15-year grid connection wait is blocking the van and truck electric switch. Allowing hybrids until 2035 is a positive move towards electrification, says the AA President Edmund King. Are we going to have our first disagreement here? And a study proves the health benefits of low emission zones. You might think it's a no-brainer, but this is a massive story from Bath and Bath University. So stay tuned for that. It really has some stats in there which will blow your mind about London. Anyway, first off, let's do the EV Café commercial clap where we highlight innovation and new things in the industry.
The commercial clap from the EV Café.
Innovation applauded.
And first up, my fine friends, Volvo mark 5,000 electric truck sales in a sustainability push. They have sold over 5,000 battery electric trucks to customers across 50 countries, marking a major milestone in its electrification journey. Since launching its first electric truck in 2019, Volvo's fleet has collectively covered close to 170 million kilometres in commercial operations, leading to substantial reductions in CO2 emissions and noise pollution. Outstanding. And we saw the Volvo truck at the CV show. Oh, and as if by magic, the CV show is our second commercial clap. Massive congratulations to the 19 group, all of our partners, and everybody who came to see the commercial vehicle show this week. It was fantastic. As you can see from that image, rammed. Absolutely rammed, and we had almost 200 people every time we went on stage and talked to some of the industry leaders about what was going on. Sam, what was your highlight of the 3 days of the commercial vehicle show, my friend?
Oh, God, it's difficult not to say the EV Café Village, really, is it? I mean, isn't it? It was the hive of activity. It was the place that everybody went to. It was the place that everyone congregated. It was the place that people wanted to meet. And so, I think we did a sterling job of bringing collaboration and community together. And hats off to you and in particular Paul for making that happen. But it literally. It was a hell of a week. And I think when we were on stage a couple of times, it was mentioned that the CV show has evolved. And being someone who's been visiting it for a couple of decades, it's just extraordinary to see that you'd struggle to find an internal combustion engine vehicle at the show. Whereas 10 years ago, it was the direct inverse, and electrics were in the corner somewhere. So what a difference, and what a great indicator, hopefully, of what's to come.
Yeah, Mike Costain and the 19 group did a fantastic job, Paul, didn't they? And it was probably, in its 25th year, the best ever?
No, I mean, we can't go that far, unfortunately. I mean, you just can't. I mean, as Mike alluded to in our wrap up, there is a journey to go on. I mean, this is a show that once had 21,000 people across 3 days. So we're talking and it was in 3 halls. So it's got some way to go. There's no question about that. But what is very clear and what was absolutely apparent was the vibe through the show, the energy through the show was, a marked improvement. I mean, I did post out on a YouTube video and somebody commented, the CV show's dying. I've heard from people that the show was poor and it was a bad vibe. And I'm like, sorry, were you at a different show? Because that just wasn't our experience. And so I think the 19 group have taken something and have really got their teeth into it. They now fully own it, only just from Tuesday. And I'm really thoroughly expecting to see, a great 2026. I think a lot of our partners, almost half, at least half actually, have rebooked for next year already. So if you want to be a part of the EV Café Village, you're going to have to sort of muscle your way in and get some agreement from the show to go bigger. Anyway, there we go.
Yeah. Maybe it was our best commercial vehicle show.
Yes.
It's fair to say that Will Reeves from the SMMT and Stephen Hards from the RHA, outstanding in supporting Mike in delivering what was just a fantastic week. And finally, on the commercial clap, we have Cable Guard, something which Formula Space have been working on for some while. We've spoken often about charger cables being cut through and stolen, and Cable Guard is something they've developed. You can see on the left hand side there the sheathing that goes round the cable and is impregnated with a specific DNA which enables identification of the stolen cable, but it makes it almost impossible, yes, sheathing, Paul, almost impossible to cut through, and adds no additional discernible weight to the cable. It's brilliant, absolutely superb. Well done to Formula Space. Let's hope that keeps nickers down. Nickers and stealers. Good. Right.
Nickers, impregnating, sheathing. I mean, what are we doing? Is it like double entendre? Anyway, move on.
Hey, listen,
Quickly.
It's Frisky Friday. It's Frisky Friday. Let's do the news. Okay, people. Now then, first up, new rules to improve safety around electric vehicles and advanced driver assistance systems are being proposed by the European Commission. While the UK decides its own rules for MOT testing, the DFT says that any new proposals from the European Union will be considered alongside the existing regime. The new EU rules aim to introduce enhanced inspections of EVs and advanced driver assistance systems for its so-called periodic technical inspections, the equivalent of our MOT. It says current rules are outdated and no longer sufficient to keep up with the rapid progress in vehicle technology. According to the European Commission, current testing methods have not been adapted to advances and rollout of new technologies such as advanced driver assistance and electric vehicles. Sam, you are nodding sagely. Agreed?
I do agree. Yes, I think that through no one's fault, no criticism whatsoever, technology has moved on, and the things that need testing on vehicles now have evolved, and so it stands to reason for me that with many of the traditional component variables of MOT testing, which just simply don't apply to EVs, it makes a perfect sense to reevaluate the way in which we test vehicles to make sure they're safe on the road, and they are now, as they have been for some time, they're computers on wheels, aren't they? So it's important that we get the testing working. So those computers, as well as the physical things and the things that move around and wear out, that's all well and good. That is important. But it's also important all the driver aids and other things that need to be made sure that they are also safe. So I just think it's common sense, really. Arguably a touch late, but that's stretching. I just think it's good. It's good that it's being considered that we have testing which fits the purpose for the type of vehicles we've got on the roads today.
Indeed. It may be an apocryphal tale, Paul, but I heard tell that an advisory on an EV's MOT notification was that it requires an oil change. Quite remarkable.
It has to be apocryphal. I don't think they get into that level of detail on an MOT to check the oil. But I think the whole MOT thing is something that is very much front of mind with the DFT. Not only is technology changing, but we've also got the 4.25 ton MOT testing regulation in the in the consultation phase as well at the moment. So I think, kill two birds with one stone, might reevaluate and overhaul the whole thing rather than just do it piecemeal.
Absolutely. Good. Right, okay, let's do some shout-outs. Sam's favourite bit. You can switch off for a second. Let's do it. Steve Warts from Volvo. I think this is 2 weeks in a row. He's been the first one through the door, 7:21. Daryl Sharp at 7:31. Morning, mate. Gary Comerford, great to see you this week and have a hug. James from the Screenwash King is in the house. Lovely to see you and chat this week. Leon Gomez, great to have a hug with you at the CV show. Thank you for being there for us. Tom, what did now? Did we call him Central Dyke rather than Middle Ditch? Can't remember. Anyway,
Dyke,
he was in the pre-10 a.m. arrival club. Welcome, my friend. Gemma Robinson from way up north. Good to see you. Good morning. Evie Bino, Ron Godfrey in sunny Bournemouth. You jammy article. Go and run in the sea for me. Teresa Swift, great to have you with us for the last 3 days. Dev, D-E-V of the Chakravarti is here.
Chakravarti.
He's having a sunny fun of Friday. Ash Bannister, who was an absolute legend. He provided us with coffee throughout the CV show, and wonderful Bella, the barista, who worked on the alphabet stand. Thank you so much, Ash, for your friendship. Craig Stark, good morning, my friend. Belinda Guy, who liked my reference to keeping knickers down. Phil Hughes, good to see you, my friend. Who else we got in the house? Paul O'Brien, good morning. Mark Main, yes, Sam, go for it.
I've got 2 shout-outs for you. One is Johnny Berry, because we don't mention him enough on the news, because he can never make this on a Friday morning, but he was obviously at the TV show. And, of course, the most beautiful and wonderful Sarah Sloman, who is burning both candles at both ends right now, and therefore can't be on the show because she's just a touch busy. But I thought we'd shout out to her as well. He was also at the show and is working like a Trojan to get everything done.
Quite right. Sarah has both candles. Goodness gracious.
Yeah,
Rachel Lewis from Compleo. Good to see you this week. Dan Martin, hello. Lulu O'Hagan. Oh, please tell me your bonbons have arrived. Craig Salmon. Bit fishy. Hello, mate. Paul Shearer, Barnfather. Lovely to see you. Jim Blair. I did see you at the CV show. Didn't get a hug. Been noted. David Pickles from Joro. Hello, Phil Hughes. Hello, he's kicking the can. Don't know what he's doing, but anyway, that's good to see. Evie Bino. Yeah, right, we've had you. Belinda. Claire Nickel from Polestar. Oh, my lordy. Lovely to see you, Rob Dustin. Hello. Ben McDonald. Greetings to you, my friend Sean Jones. Thank you for making the show the place to be this weekend. Fantastic people, great vibe, and brilliant to see the strive and collaboration around EV. That's very kind. Thank you for saying so. Lloyd Allen came with a note from his mum. Sorry I'm late. Thank you kindly. Pam Hanlon does give the best 4'11" hugs in the world. Thank you for that. Sarah Wellstead, great to see you here. Golly gracious, Wayne Dunn, you're here as well. Great show on Wednesday at the CV show. Do you know what? That's really kind. Bless you. Mark Sherry Brennan. Ooh, what a posh name. Hello, dear. Lovely to see you. Alex Hansford, good to see you here as well. Listen, it has been a week of technology, software, hardware, everything to do with electric vehicles, but most importantly, people, you matter. Thank you for being here and making the EV Café Village and the news and all the things we do so much fun. Bless you. On with the news. Now then, fleet plans to switch to electric vans and trucks are being thwarted by having to wait to upgrade grid connections to power depot charging. We discovered this ourselves at the CV show, and this was the key theme that came out from all of the talks for me. Companies are currently waiting up to 15 years to be connected to the grid, with grid connection queues having grown tenfold over the past 5 years, according to the Department for Energy, Security and Net Zero. The SMMT, Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, say the delays mean that many commercial vehicle operators' electric vehicle investments are being blocked and will remain so even after fossil fuel vehicles end. Now that's got to be wrong. Sam, connections, DNOs, energy. It is absolutely critical that we're able to get power where we need it. How's it going out there in the real world?
Yeah, it's more critical that Paul puts himself on mute when he's having a reshuffle.
Sorry,
It's okay. It's not like we're live or anything. Don't worry about it. It's this is a big problem, John, isn't it? And there's lots of big problems out there. And what I've discovered from the TV show this time around, as a learning curve, is we have this sort of painful process of getting to the absolute worst end of something before the government recognise that the change needs to happen. I was talking to some civil servants this week about hydrogen, and it's like we've got to run the course, we've got to go through it so that they all work out that it's not the right thing on road transport. I think, well, what a tremendous waste of our time and money to do that. And it feels a little bit like this grid constraint is going to come to the same blocker, in as much it'll get so bad that people will realise, and then there'll be legislative changes which make things better, because it's not going to be 15 years waiting for a grid connection, but that's what it might look like right now, and that's not good enough. So unfortunately, we seem to have to get to this sort of this Armageddon moment in order for people to listen and make a change. So let's just change it now. We know what's happening. We know that the grid needs support, and we know that we need more power in the right places. So can we just get on with it and try and release these shackles, because it's affecting depots, it's affecting public charging, it's affecting everybody. So surely to God, we've got to do something about that and try to lobby government and make them listen.
Yeah, I was talking to Liam Nags-Paul from Mylance at the show, and he was saying that they choose to acquire sites where there is plentiful power. It may not be in the ideal location, but it's ideal because the power's already there and available. Would you agree that that's a really sensible strategy?
We definitely heard from a number of people. So we had a couple of our sessions really focused on the problem of power. And that was one of the consensus, that you need to find places that already have the power. And of course, I guess I learned that actually grid connection is just as important when you're creating your own energy, like wind energy and solar energy. You still need a grid connection to send the energy back to the grid. So, and it needs to be the same sort of size as it would be the other way around. And I was like, I must admit, I thought that was... So we do need government really to focus in on this and really accelerate it. But yeah, in an ideal world, you'd find a place with power and stick some charging in it. But there's a lot of challenges afoot. But I'm always encouraged that we had such brilliant minds addressing this challenge. And at the end of the day, it's the government where we need to make that difference around that process of getting the connection, because we've got the minds that can do it.
Absolutely. And the thing I love best is AW Energy's approach to life. If there's not energy there, whack up the biggest turbine in the UK and then put some charging infrastructure in. Love that. That approach just says, do you know what? Don't care. Just going to do our own. Right, let's move on. In a response to the zero emission vehicle mandate consultation and the US tariffs on the car industry, the government's announcement to allow hybrids between 2030 and 35 and to refine restrictions on vehicle manufacturers marks a significant milestone in the journey towards a green future, says Edmund King, president of the AA. The Prime Minister's recent announcements are a pragmatic step forward aimed at bolstering confidence among manufacturers and drivers alike, and the inclusion of hybrids in the plan serves as a crucial stepping stone for those who are not yet ready to make the full switch to electric vehicles, he said. The AA's consistent message to government has been clear. More needs to be done to make EVs accessible for everyone. And whilst drivers may be hesitant, not sure they are generally not hostile to the change. With the right support and incentives, we can encourage more people to embrace electric vehicles. Hybrid. Paul, let's start with you. Where do you stand on including hybrid till 2035? Good thing, bad thing, or whatever?
Honestly, I don't care. And I'll tell you why I don't care. Because I think we're focusing on too many things about this stuff. When 80% of all vehicles sold by 2030 will be electric. That is mandated, right? The end of the wiggle room is 2029. So 2030, no wiggle room, 80%, or you're paying fines that are still substantial. So, look, people are going to be focused on it. And in 5 years' time, my belief is that people won't want a hybrid vehicle. They might do. There might be a tiny percentage that really would, I want to escape this electric thing, I'm going to have a hybrid. I think it will fall off because of market demand, because everybody's going to get comfortable with electric, everybody's going to understand better, and if they want to do the whole diesel petrol thing, they'll just go off and buy a used one.
Yeah. And Sam, your thoughts? Hybrid,
Yeah,
good, bad, or
I echo Paul's, to be honest. I mean, what Paul said is almost word for word what I said at the Everything Electric with Dan Caesar and Paul actually on that panel as well. I don't think it matters, because I think technology will advance to such an extent that it won't be the desirable technology in that period. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's I've already coined it a little bit of a legacy, sort of slightly obsolescent type solution, and it'll only continue to be so as the years move on. So. It probably stunts a little bit of the EV movement in the short term as people feel like I'll go one more hybrid when they probably didn't need to. But yeah, long term, I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact. I
A
hope.
question, and I don't know the answer to this question, is what happens with the income that's generated from fines? Where does it go? Is it invested into more sustainable incentives and grants and all that stuff to encourage people to go to EVs? Does anybody know? Paul?
Honestly, so I spoke to James Vickery. Now, James Vickery, for those of you that don't know, works in the DFT and actually wrote the ZEV mandate. And I said, James, what about all the fines that are outstanding for the things that have been missed in 20 and 21 and before the ZEV mandate had kicked in, and when the mantle had been handed from Brexit from Europe to the UK? And I was asking him about this very thing, and he said, we haven't worked out how to fine people yet. We haven't worked out how the mechanism will work. So my belief is that we will get to 29 or 2030, and actually either everybody's going to be like sorted out and there won't be any fines, or they'll probably fudge it for another way, because I'm not quite clear that there is a mechanism to charge anybody, and I don't think it's going to be a big issue. Is my
I assume, guys, that no one's paying fines now. They're just paying money to each
Correct.
other. Is that right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, it baffles me, it really does. But I'd love to see, if there are fines levied, that we use that for positive, we use it for change, and we make things happen faster. Get DNO connections sorted, invest in the grid, that's what we need. Anyway.
We could invest in some more hydrogen trials.
Thank you, Sam, for that wonderful input. Right, now this is the story of the news, this one. New research from the University of Bath has revealed that Greater London's clean air policies are delivering significant public health and economic benefits. No surprise there. The study of the low emission zone and ultra low emission zone, published in the Journal of Economic Behaviour and Organisation, analysed more than a decade of data, finding the introduction of the low emission zones in 2008 and the ULEZ in 2019 significantly reduced harmful pollutants like NOx, nitrogen dioxide and particulate matter PM10. As a result, and this is the bit that really starts to get interesting, there was a dramatic drop in sick leave in Greater London and improved mental well-being and substantial cost savings it found, and they put numbers to it. When comparing to other areas of England without low emission zones, it found that 18.5% reduction in sick leave, nearly 20% reduction in sick leave, 7% drop in the incidence of other health problems, and 10% decrease in respiratory issues. The cost, 20% reduction in sick leave. We forget, we've got 40,000 plus people dying every year as a result of poor air quality. And then we've got another 20% reduction in sick leave. The business case for low emission zones is clear. The study also reported improvements in happiness, life satisfaction and reduced anxiety, as well as annual public health savings of more than £37 million, driven by fewer respiratory illnesses and reduced job and absenteeism. I reckon 37 million is massively understated. Sam, we've known this for a long time. Evidence now that says this has to be the way forward for cities and towns.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it, right? I mean, you reduce the emissions that are being polluted on the streets, it's going to get better. But the fact that it's measurable, I'm not quite sure why University of Bath are doing it rather than the University of Westminster. I would have thought that would have been more fitting, but who cares, right? The research is there. Again, how on earth you measure sick leave relative to emissions, I don't quite know, because obviously people are getting healthier as well. So how you manage all of that to come up with a figure, I don't know, but I'm certainly not suggesting they're not accurate, because obviously, we are improving air quality all around, and that's a good thing. So yeah, I mean, a decade's worth of data obviously is substantial. So that gives every other town and city in the UK more than enough evidence to make the same decision. All right. So
Yeah.
if nothing else, then learn from what London has achieved and replicate it in your own city.
Yeah, mine's far greater than mine have worked on this and come to those conclusions, and far be it from me to naysay it or gainsay it even. Paul, your thoughts?
Well, so interestingly, Bath Base did a partnership with UCL, University College London, to do this. This was done. The research was done from there. So, but a good initiative and good collaboration, because Bath, of course, have got their own clean air zone as well, and along with Bristol, and so we are. They are quite focused on it, and it is great to see. It is massive, the difference that can be made with these kinds of technologies, and the fact that my hometown, Bath, has gone and done it, I'm very proud of, because they're a good bunch of people. But it's seriously valuable. I'm interested, Sam, though you mentioned that the world is getting healthier. I'm not sure what statistics you're drawing from on that. Where does
Well, we're all living longer, aren't we? We're all living longer as a race. So we're getting older.
Yeah.
We're inherently getting healthier.
Yeah. Yes, that
It's
is
great.
true. But anyway.
Some great comments from some of our viewers. Belinda Guy has talked about a considerable improvement in her health. Ben McDonald echoes thoughts I've had myself. The air quality in London is fabulous. You walk through the city of London now, you're not mowed down by bus, taxi, car. You can walk the streets and it just feels so much nicer place to be than it used to be. 20 years ago, London was a battle. Now it's beautiful.
It's such a busy job, isn't it? We're all getting mowed down by all these silent vehicles, which is such a lethal thing on the road.
You just
It's
a
really
bad
interesting
man.
point. A really interesting point Phil Hughes has made, and I've had this conversation with a guy called Martin Coogan that does the Cold Chain Conference. That the fridges on the back of a lot of the trucks are using old diesel technology to power the fridges. And, the fridges and freezers on the back of the trucks. They're not regulated in the same way as vehicles, and therefore are very, very polluting. So it's something that we should just kind of give some consideration to. The commercial vehicle sector, once again missing some of the kind of legislation and support that's needed in order to drive the CO2 and in particular the particulates down.
Just finally, one thing that I wanted to talk to you both about was the launch of new vehicles at the CV show. The Kia PV5, the Horizon, they are both quality products, and I'm really excited to see them on the streets and really put through their paces. Paul, you are both van experts. Would you endorse those new launches, that they look like great quality vehicles and are going to make a difference? I mean, the PV5 comes in at £27,000.
27.5 grand and 22.5 grand after the grant, because it's a 2,600 kilo vehicle, gross vehicle weight, which means it is in the category for the 5 grand grant. Absolutely, I think people are going to buy it. There are some compromises with that vehicle, but people will buy it. It's a good price, it's a good spec, it looks well, so there's a lot of positives going for it. The Horizon van, I'm really impressed. I don't know if you saw the one in the AA colours, but didn't it bloomin' look good? I mean, the whole black front that is naturally on the van anyway, and then with the AA black and yellow, looked really, really smart. So I think from what people have said while they've seen it, and the stand was really busy, they are going to get well received. I think also the Flexis vehicles and replicated by Renault as well, they're going to be quite interesting. And the new Renault Master as a large van, again, the important thing here is price. That is £42,500 for a large van. It's about 7 grand cheaper than the main other competitors of Ford and Movano, the Ford Transit and the Movano. 7 grand cheaper, and when you put the 5 grand on it as well, you're down to £37,500. That is really good quality, great range, good payload, can tow. And also the other one that maybe slipped most people by was a pickup, 4-wheel drive, 1 ton payload, 3.5 ton towing. The range, a little bit compromised, 150 miles, or their 166 is official. But the reality is you've got to get the right size of battery to be able to do the rest of the other bits, to be able to tow and to be able to keep under the weights and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's a great start to see that hit the market.
Sam, anything tickle your trousers?
Yeah, I think just the general theme for me is that what we've seen historically is the new entrants with new brands have not survived. So it's nice to see that the major OEMs are bringing everything to the market. Verizon, I wouldn't put in that camp right now because they are a Chinese heavyweight ultimately. So we'll see whether they fit the mold with all of the other big Chinese companies that are trying to get into this space, and they're obviously heavily backed. But it's nice to see the Kias and the Isuzus and others and the Flexus through the Renault funding coming to the fore, because frankly, if you're not twinned with a big OEM, I don't think you're going to survive in the market, and it has been evidenced time and time again. So it's just good to see these big boys stepping up, and hopefully they will continue to compete with each other and bring the prices down.
Sorry to have overrun everybody. It was because at 10:29 I said to Paul, was there anything interesting in vans? If you've got any clean transport PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from my good friends. This has been an EV Cafe production. Other sustainability news services are still available, but this is just funner! The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with the AA, Webfleet, Europcar, Iveco, Spiry, Schneider Electric, Dynamon, EV Blocks and AW Energy. We are the EV Cafe, supporting the transition to clean transport, with the news supported by Drax Electric Vehicles, showing us and you the EV love. Enjoy the rest of your day and your long weekend, wherever it may take you. Much love to Johnny Berry, Sarah Sloman, and all of you. Until next Friday, bye!
Bye!